Well, you've got eyes, but you can't see how you're so blind. They filter through the sifter of their organized crime. Well, you can have my time.
We're gonna take care of the matter at a later date.
I am unaware of any obligation that I have to sign this.
What's that, sir?
I am unaware of any obligation that I have to sign this.
Okay, sir. There is a law saying that you have to sign a citation.
What law?
What's that?
What law?
Well, sir, if you do not wish to sign it, I can call another officer out here and talk to you about it. I can have a sergeant come out here and talk to you about it, or an officer in charge come out to you and talk about it.
Let's do that.
Okay. And if after then you refuse to sign it, basically from there, sir, then you'll be placed under arrest and your vehicle will be impounded.
What law am I breaking by
Okay.
not signing this?
I'll call someone right now. Okay, sir?
It's fine.
I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
Hold on 1 second. Until they get back, let me have my pinch book back. I'll look it up for you.
459
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Doing fine.
Would you mind putting the window down just a little bit so I could talk to you?
I can hear you okay.
I can't. What was that?
I can hear you okay.
Okay, I can barely hear you. So my partner's telling me that he stopped you for speed. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So what he had said, evidently he's using his radar, and the speed limit here is 55 on this road, and he stopped you because you were a little bit over the speed. I don't remember exactly what speed he said you were going or what speed he got on the radar, but he did decide that he was going to issue a citation for the speed, and he does have a citation filled out. He also told me that you didn't quite agree with the reason why he stopped you, or you didn't agree with the speed that he said that he saw you going. Is that correct?
We never had that discussion.
Okay. Well, do you remember how fast you were going when he
It's irrelevant. I need to know what obligation I am under to sign that document.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. If you are stopped in the state of California for a vehicle code infraction, you know, speeding, lane change, anything of that matter, running a stop sign, and the officer does issue a citation, that document's actually called a notice to appear. And what that means...
Yeah, I'm aware of all this. My contention is that I do not recognize illegitimate and invalid law by California if it's not supported by the U.S. Constitution, which is the pledge that you swore an oath to defend and protect. And that right now you guys appear to me to be police officers, but I do not recognize your authority because you are not representing yourself as a member of the U.S. Constitution. You are representing yourself as an illegal member of the invalid and illegitimate California legislation. And I am not convinced that your representation is an authority that I have to follow. Because in the 9th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, it says, all enumerated rights in this Constitution shall not be misconstrued or construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And I have the right to travel freely in my country without molestation and without interference from the government if any of my actions are not affecting anyone else's property, which is not the case right now. And I was pulled over for a speed that under someone's jurisdiction decided that it was too fast, but I don't recognize that authority because I am not required to recognize that authority as a citizen of California.
Okay.
Until I am given a statute from the U.S. Constitution that requires me to sign that document, then I don't feel, well, it's not a matter of whether I feel to or not. That obligation simply doesn't exist.
Okay. Well, the issue with the speeding, it is a safety issue, and that's why it is.
Whose safety?
It is a California state law.
It's illegitimate. It's not supported by the U.S. Constitution.
Okay. Well, the U.S. Constitution allows for states, right?
Yep.
Allows there to be 50 states in the United States of America, correct?
Yes.
And it also allows those states to have laws.
Legislate their own laws, provided that none of those laws are incompatible with the U.S. Constitution. And the U.S. Constitution, according to the 9th Amendment, clearly dictates that I can travel freely within my country in whatever manner I please, as long as all of the actions I take don't affect anyone else's property, life, or liberty, which I have not done.
You're absolutely right about that. You're absolutely right about that. The Constitution does grant you and every other person, myself included,
yes, that
right, and I strongly support that.
But you're not supporting it now.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Right. Well, right now, all I'm trying to do is just explain
okay.
to you. You know. So you know, we do agree. Both me and you do agree that the Constitution does allow states to legislate their own laws within their state, correct? And the Constitution allows the state of California and every other state to do that. And
provided that it does not interfere with my ability to travel freely through my country in the manner of my choosing.
Okay, you're correct about that.
Yes.
Okay. However, California state law, every state, I mean, you know that every state, all 50 states have traffic laws, right?
And they're all illegitimate.
Okay. Well, the reason why there's traffic laws is because everybody has to share the road, correct?
Yep.
I mean, you don't own the road and everything.
I do own the road.
You pay taxes just like I do, so you own it just as much as I do, just as much as every
right.
other car driving by, right?
You're absolutely right. And I am entitled to exercise all 10 of my Bill of Rights on public property as much as I am to do on private property.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You absolutely do. And I'm not disagreeing with you on that
Perfect.
at all. I totally support that.
And I want to make sure that I'm clear
as
that...
As a matter of fact, me and you probably think alike, very, very much alike, under a lot of regards.
That's great. And I want to make it clear that this is nothing against you.
No, I know.
But I have absolutely no respect for that uniform if it's not legitimized. And I'm trying to legitimize your authority right now. I'm trying to give me a reason to listen to you. Is what I'm trying to do.
I don't quite understand where you're. I want you to explain that to me. Are you saying that are there any law enforcement officers in the United States that are legitimate under your eyes?
The ones who operate under the strict guidelines of the U.S. Constitution.
And which ones would those be?
The ones that I just told you. All 10 of the Bill of Rights.
Okay. Which departments in your eyes?
So far, none.
So
I have yet to meet one that has adequately satisfied me.
Okay. Well, like we've already discussed, you know, we do understand that the United States Constitution, both me and you understand that the United States Constitution does allow. I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
I'm not going to come inside your space or anything,
right.
but that makes it a lot nicer for us to talk.
All right.
So, I mean, we both. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yep.
We both understand that the United States Constitution does allow, states to create their own laws.
Well, but I challenge you right now to follow the law that you swore an oath to.
Well,
I challenge you to say this law is illegitimate. And yes, I may agree with you that it's not the safest thing for me to be driving above the posted speed limit, but it's irrelevant. That speed limit is a suggestion in my eyes. That's because if I drive from here to Fresno, which is where I'm going,
yeah,
and every single action that I take affects no one else around me in any way, it's the same as if I never left my house. And that's the beauty of this country and the beauty of this Constitution, is that everything is reliant upon my actions and my responsibility, and what I do and how it affects everyone else around me.
Yeah.
And so I challenge you today to say, you know what, I am a proxy member of the executive branch of this government, and I am supposed to be trained to discern between which laws are legitimate and which laws are illegitimate. That is the very purpose of your branch. The very purpose of your branch is to enforce the supreme law, and the supreme law was written and legitimized in the 6th article of the Constitution, when it lays it out as lays out the Constitution as the supreme law of the land. And when you swear an oath to the Constitution, that's what you're promising to me. You're promising to me, the citizen, that you are going to discern between what you are going to enforce and what you aren't going to enforce. And legislators in California can legislate until they turn blue in the face, and it doesn't mean diddly if the officers of the law have the wherewithal to tell which ones are bogus and which ones are supposed to be enforced.
You know what? I'll tell you right now, I totally agree with you on that. I mean,
I hope you prove it.
Here's the way I see it. I mean, I don't think anybody in this country agrees with 100% of the laws that are made.
It's irrelevant.
But I mean, basically, where I'm at here is what we've been able to accomplish here, and what we've been able to basically agree upon, is that the United States Constitution does allow states to create laws. Okay.
Yes.
Whether or not we all agree with those laws, there's still laws that the United States Constitution allows a state to make.
You're wrong. They can make laws all they want. They can make laws all day and all night.
Because what happens in the state legislature when they draft a bill and it's found to be unconstitutional?
That means it was always illegal. Slavery was always illegal. It didn't become illegal when they decided to overturn it. It was always illegal. And the people who decided to break the law at the time are now heroes. That's what I'm trying to make you. I'm trying to turn you into a person that says, you know what? Something's not right here. I've been given a directive that is a cognitive dissonance of what is actually supposed to be in my oath, what I'm supposed to be enforcing. And I'm not here, believe me, I know it sounds crazy because I'm the guy sitting in the driver's seat. This is not about me trying to get out of a ticket. I guarantee that to you. You want to give me the ticket, you give me the ticket, and I'll happily stand against you in court. That's not the issue for me. I am a crusader trying to turn you into a hero. I'm trying to make you the person on your force to say, you know what? I'm the one who's going to stand up, and we're going to find out what's right. Because unjust laws are no law. An unjust law is no law at all. And Socrates said that a few thousand years ago. And I'm telling you right now, a law that says that I can't go as fast as I please, unmolested, unrestricted, without interference, provided that I don't affect anyone else's property around me, and by property I also do mean their body, provided that I don't affect that in any way, there's not possibly a legitimate reason for having a law for that.
Well, and here's the issue. Here's the issue, and this is where I will disagree with you slightly on that.
Right.
And the reason why is because, I mean, in doing my, I've been doing this job for quite a while now.
All right.
And years ago, prior to doing this job, I'd been stopped several times for speed myself, and I always thought, why do we even have, why am I getting a speeding ticket when I'm out on a 2-lane county road, and I'm only, I'm doing 10 miles an hour over their posted or recommended speed limit, and I'm getting a ticket for it, but I don't feel like what I was doing is unsafe or that I affected anybody or whatnot. But now, and doing what I do now, after I've been doing it for several years, and I see, property damage, loss of life,
yeah,
and whatnot, and one of the primary causes of that, I mean, there's several, and it changes depending on where we're at. Out on the freeway, some spots like up north in Atwater, a big problem that we have up there, traffic gets heavy and people follow way too close behind other vehicles. They have to slow down and stop for whatever reason, and then we have accidents, and we have people that get their property damaged or get hurt or whatnot. So there's a law in the California Vehicle Code that says that you can't follow behind another vehicle at a speed and a distance that's unsafe.
And I'm not saying that I don't think those things are.
And it's just for that. It's to prevent that.
And I'm all for that, to say those are all great ideas.
Yeah.
But they're not laws. And that's the simple fact of the matter. And you are a person who's supposed to enforce the law. I'm not supposed to get a ticket based on whether you think I'm being dangerous. The beauty of this country is I cannot be arrested for something that might have happened. The beauty of this country is that you can only be arrested in reactionary. I can only be arrested for things that did happen. So, and if people say, well, the argument that people use against me is like, well, what if you said that you were going to take out a whole family of people tomorrow, and you wrote it down, and for whatever reason, then you would be reacting to the stuff that I said.
Yeah.
Right? But you can't react to what you think I might do. It's illegal. And so that's the case here. Now, all the speed limits, they're great ideas, and I agree. Going slower on the road is better than going faster on the road.
I understand that, but based on that logic, though, I mean, the way I see it, based on that logic, and I completely understand it, to me, I would think that, I mean, I can't strap 10 sticks of dynamite to me and, walk into a mall or
We call that clear and present danger.
Well,
and I'm not providing a clear and present danger.
Well, I understand that, but here, this is my thing. If that's the line of thought, and that's the argument that, you should be free to do whatever you want to do, up to the point until you cause property damage or endanger someone else's life or hurt somebody else, then under that same line of thought, me or anybody else, I should be able to strap a bomb to myself and walk into a shopping mall freely and do what I want, as long as I don't push the button and detonate it.
You're absolutely right.
But
I'm not saying it's a comfortable feeling, and that if you have an armed public, I've got a pretty good feeling people won't do that. Nevertheless,
I agree with you.
Nevertheless,
it's not
illegal.
I agree with you, but there are laws against that. You can't do that. Would you say that you support that, or
they're illegitimate?
So do you
I'm not saying it's a bad
somebody should be able to do that?
No, I don't think it's a good idea at all, but it's not illegal. Just because it's not a good idea doesn't mean that it's illegal.
So in your, I guess in your opinion, or under your line of thinking, should somebody be able to freely do that?
Yeah, but it doesn't work unless you have an armed public. And unless you have a vigilant armed public who makes sure that no one starts acting strange around them, or they're going to have something to answer to. And California is guilty of that too. They're trying to take away the armed public, and that's why you have screwballs walking around with bombs attached to them. I guarantee you, if someone walks into a mall and they know 90% of the people standing in there are armed, they'll think twice.
I agree with you 100% on that.
Well, I hope you prove it to me.
I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
But
I hope you prove it to me.
I don't think that, personally, I don't see any problems with a law being written to say that somebody can't do that.
I don't see a problem with it either, but it's illegal. It's not legitimate. I love the idea of having that law. I am like you. Unfortunately, I don't have that power. I do not have the power to change the Constitution just because I'm uncomfortable. The Constitution says what it says, and the Constitution enumerates natural rights that are mine. One of which is to travel freely in my country. Another one of which is not enumerated in the Constitution, is allowed by the 9th Amendment, is the right to have children, or the right to do all the other things that aren't specified in the Constitution. This is one of them, and I have affected no one's property in any way by driving this evening.
Okay.
And I know that what you are worried about, and this is a legitimate concern of yours, is that if you tell me to, okay, Mr. Spencer, you can be on your way, then you're going to be in trouble, and your job is in jeopardy for that. But unfortunately, your oath does not use your job as a contingency. Your oath, you're supposed to satisfy your oath all the time.
And I've never, in all the years I've been doing this, I've never felt that my job has been in jeopardy.
Oh, well, then maybe that's not a problem.
For any actions that I have taken or not taken.
Well, then maybe I was just taking a shot in the dark, and maybe that's not the case.
However, this is what the way that I look at it. The way I look at it is we do have a United States Constitution. The Constitution allows the states to create their laws for, you know, public safety and whatnot. And we do have all kinds of laws for public safety. And it goes from you know, traffic laws all the way up to stuff like somebody can't strap a bomb and walk into a shopping mall. And
That's great. They're all illegal.
and the process that those, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that we have the most perfect system of government. I don't know if there is.
We do have a perfect system of government.
I don't know if there is such a thing as a perfect legal system and a perfect justice system in the world. I don't know if there is.
There is. The U.S. government is the perfect system if it were followed.
But I do respect the authority of the Constitution. I respect the authority that the Constitution gives states to create laws.
I'm not convinced of that. I'm not convinced that you respect that.
Whether I agree with them or disagree with them, because there's a lot of them that I agree with and there's a lot of them that I disagree with. Everybody has their own, you know, everybody's different. Everybody has their own ideas and opinions of what they think about, you know, different laws. But what I look at is, you know, you and me don't go up and sit in the state assembly or the state senate and have a direct role in drafting bills and, you know, what gets signed. But the next best, I guess, way to have the next best process for that is what we have, I think, is where we, you know, elect, we as people, citizens, we elect representatives to go represent us in the state assembly.
No, you're wrong about that too. There's a better way.
Go for it.
Why do you think your branch exists? Your branch is the plug in that hole. When U.S. legislators fall apart and they start legislating laws that are illegitimate, you exist literally for the prime purpose of knowing which laws are legitimate to enforce and which laws are illegitimate to enforce. Your job is not to enforce the laws that California writes. Your job is to enforce the supreme law as outlined in the 6th article of the Constitution. You're supposed to be trained to discern between which ones are legitimate or not. That's why we trained you at the Constitution, I assume, right?
Yes.
Before you started. And right now, I'm not convinced when you say that you respect the Constitution that that's really the case. I think that you have a healthy sort of reverence for it, but I don't think you fully respect it. And I'm using the actual literal word respect. Respect literally means to look back. That's the literal term. Re means back, and spect is eyes. So respect means to look back. Are you looking back upon the law that you swore an oath to right now to make sure that you're operating under those conditions and operating within those guidelines? I'm not sure you're doing that. I'm not positive. I could be wrong, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced to a satisfactory degree. And again, I must highlight and I must emphasize, this is not about me getting out of a ticket. This is me right now trying to legitimize your authority to convince me that I should be listening to you. Because as of right now, you are a man dressed in officer's clothing to me. But I'm not convinced you are an officer of the law. And I don't mean that to upset you. That's
no, you're not. I have pretty thick skin. I don't take offense to too much.
And I would never go out of my way to try to disrespect someone. But in this case right now, I don't feel that you are actually respecting the law.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of a man named Frederick Bastiat. He wrote a book called The Law, and he was one of the main influences on the Founding Fathers. And he wrote in that book that the law, if you want the law to be respected, which I'm assuming you do, if you want the law to be respected, the law must be respectable. And if the law is not respectable, the citizens are faced with two choices. Either respect the law and disobey their morals, or respect their morals and disobey the law. I choose the latter. I'm going to obey my morals and disrespect the law unless those two are in sync, unless those two are aligned. And all of my morals are aligned with the U.S. Constitution, because the U.S. Constitution enumerates natural rights. Why would I disobey my own nature? Right? And I need to find out if you are going to support the natural rights enumerated in the Constitution. Me being pulled over from going faster than the speed limit presented, or however was made, the limit of 55 is not a natural law. I am being interfered with right now. Nothing I did affected anyone in any way whatsoever. And I'm hoping you see that.
Well, I absolutely see that. I mean, you haven't affected anybody. Obviously, you haven't crashed or anything. You know, that's not the case here.
And if I did, you would be authorized to litigate accordingly. Because at that point, I have now crossed the boundary between not affecting anybody to affecting someone. And then you would say, okay, under the guidelines of the Constitution, I have the authority as an officer of the law to place you under arrest and litigate accordingly. That hasn't happened now. Right now, I am being litigated against for a crime I did not commit. If I sign that ticket and appear in court and testify, that has started a process of litigation that I was not required to be a part of.
So the you know, the issue is, you know, with speeding laws and any other traffic law, those laws are designed to, you know, prevent tragedy, to prevent property damage. They're not.
And they're great designs.
I mean, if we didn't operate that way, then essentially what we would have is everybody would be out driving drunk, high, 100 miles an hour,
and if they
driving off of the road, and we would have complete chaos.
And guess what you could do with all those people who did that?
What?
You would litigate accordingly, just as you do now.
Well, what I'm saying is that if we didn't have laws like, you know, like traffic laws for, you know, public safety and for the safety of property and life and whatnot, then we would have total chaos, and then we would have, I guess, officers of the law that would be completely reactionary. We would basically be just standing by watching the chaos until somebody's dead, and then we would go deal with it. That's exactly what
the Constitution says to do.
And go deal with it on a case-by-case basis after somebody's already, you know, killed somebody.
Yeah, your job literally is limited to reporting and upholding the law. All of that is reactionary. You are not entitled to operate at all on pro-action, on anything that happens before. It's all reaction. That is all you're allowed to do. And I understand things might get pretty crazy out here. This is a dangerous world. And anyone who tries to tell anyone the opposite is a fool. It's not going to be pretty, but if I'm driving drunk and I drive here 100 feet home and no one is ever affected, it's the same thing as if I was never driving drunk at all. According to the law. Now, I know it's not literally the case, but according to the law, if I affected no one, I am the one running the risk of driving home if I'm intoxicated. And if I run the risk of driving home while intoxicated and I run over someone's mailbox, I am liable to the cost of repairing that mailbox as if it was never hit in the first place. That's what litigation is for. That's what the courtrooms are for.
Okay. Well, in scenarios like that, that's, you know, perfectly fine if we operated that way, but, you know, because of course you've got insurance, I'm sure, for your vehicle.
Irrelevant. Even if I didn't.
You could go out, if you did just by chance damage somebody, even if you didn't have insurance, if you did, you know, if you were driving unsafely, drunk, whatever, and you damaged my property, you seem like a very respectable person. I would assume that you would probably, you know, repair the, you know, whatever damage. You'd take full responsibility for it.
And what if I didn't?
And most people, you know, are respectable and responsible in that manner.
But let's just say I didn't. What recourse would you have as a citizen if I drove my truck through your living room window, and I said, screw it, I'm going home? What legal recourse would you have?
Small claims for the damage.
You would probably call the police, right?
Yeah.
And the police would come out, in reaction to what happened, would litigate accordingly. It's exactly what I'm expecting of the police.
And then eventually, what would the result of that be?
Hopefully, you would get restored to whatever the property was before I ever hit it.
Exactly. What if it wasn't my property? What if it was my wife that got killed and run over? How do you restore that?
That happens too. And you restore that by going to court, and the judge assigns whatever liability would be with that person's life, which will obviously be much more than the cost of a living room window.
Sure.
And there's some things in life that you just can't replace. That's just the way life is.
Sure.
Life is a dangerous thing that we encounter. There's nothing I can say about that. All I can say is what the law states. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm reciting law. The law
Okay.
says the executive branch of the government is entirely reactionary. You have absolutely no proaction whatsoever granted to you under the guidelines of the U.S. Constitution. None. And that means I cannot be cited, arrested, pulled over, whatever, because of something that might happen by me doing what I was doing. By me driving 71 or whatever he said it was, I cannot be pulled over because of something that might happen driving 71. I can only be pulled over for something that did happen driving 71, and nothing happened.
So, I guess what I'm understanding is that I guess what I'm understanding is what you're explaining to me. Your line of thought is that any law that is designed to prevent something from happening is not legitimate. Any law to punish somebody who has actually perpetrated, property damage, loss of life, or a crime, those are legitimate laws. But no laws that are designed to prevent something like that from happening are. Is that correct?
If I understand your question, yes. Because what can you do to someone with the preventative law that you couldn't already do with the reactionary law? Like the reason, the justification for having speed limits is so that we can cite people if they're going over the speed limit, because going over the speed limit has a much higher likelihood of an accident happening, right?
Yes.
But the accident happening, what would you do if the accident happened? You would litigate accordingly anyway, right?
Yes.
So what purpose does the preventative law serve besides just citing people for crimes they didn't commit?
In my opinion, the preventative laws are to, nobody wants to go through that. You don't want to have your property damaged
Absolutely not.
unnecessarily. You don't want to have yourself or anybody you know or love or care about injured
You're right.
unnecessarily, and neither do I. So rather than just react to it after it happens, we as a population, as citizens, have in one way, shape, or form come up with some ways that we can reduce that risk, so that the risk of our property being damaged, the risk of ourselves or our families being injured is greatly reduced.
That's great. There's nothing in the Constitution that supports that. The Constitution does not support levels of risk. The Constitution supports freedom. Freedom is very expensive. Freedom is very volatile. Freedom is very dangerous. Right? A free life is a dangerous life. A gazelle out in the jungle is a very free animal and lives a very dangerous life because of it. That's
Absolutely.
the price you pay. But the price that I pay by getting in this car is knowing that some screwball could be driving opposite of me and hit me, whether he's driving the speed limit or not. It's a risk that you take when you get in the car. And we can't start saying that we're going to pull people aside and we're going to start litigating illegitimately because of risks that we're trying to increase or decrease. Again, I want to emphasize, it's not a bad idea. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
But it's illegal. Illegal. It can't be done. And I'm hoping that you can discern between the two.
Well, what I understand, and from what you've already said that you understand, is that I haven't read anywhere in the Constitution that says that I haven't seen anything in the Constitution that says that states can't. I understand this, that the states can't make the Constitution's not going to allow the state to generate a law, policy, or otherwise that's not in line with the Constitution,
yes.
That's incompatible with it. But
that's Article 6, Section 2, the same paragraph that is highlighted in your oath.
yes,
So it's the same thing. Now, you don't say the same words, but that's what they're referring to when you say the oath is Article 6, Section 2.
however, I do believe that I do believe that whether I 100% agree with them or not,
Sorry, I should have mentioned I was just going to get this.
All I do believe that the states should be able to make to generate their laws that that they feel best served, that the people living in that state feel best serves them. And
well, and I don't mean this I don't mean to sound like a butthead, but unfortunately I have absolutely no concern for what you believe. I only have concern with your ability to report and enforce. And I am like you. I believe that it's a great idea to have those laws, but
yeah,
it's irrelevant. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you prefer. I only care about what you can do as far as me conceding to your authority. Right now, I see no reason for me to do that.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, here's the deal. The bottom line with the situation that we've got here is, like we've already kind of discussed, there is in this state, there is a law. There are speed laws that the states, whether we agree with them or whether we think. I honestly don't think that I'm qualified to sit here and argue the Constitution with you, because I don't have a
too late.
I don't have a degree in constitutional law, and I don't know if you do. Maybe you do.
What did you think they were training you to do?
Maybe you do, but
I mean, it just so happens that yes, I am an expert at the Constitution. But if I wasn't, what exactly were you promising me when you said that you swore an oath to defend and protect the Constitution? Shouldn't you have known everything in the Constitution to make that oath?
Well, there are different. I mean, there's different levels of understanding with everything.
No, there's not.
Sure, there is.
No, knowing the Constitution means that you can make a pledge to defend it. If you don't know the Constitution fully, then what are you doing pledging for?
I do know the Constitution. Okay.
There you go.
I do understand, and I do know the Constitution. Okay.
And I mean,
I'm not the one that.
I'm
not the one that wrote it.
Irrelevant. I am a bit of a freak. I don't expect all the other citizens to be as much of an expert as I am. I do expect the people whose prime source of income and their prime livelihood is to defend and uphold the Constitution. I expect them to know it as well as me. So to use the excuse that you're not an expert on it is not adequate for me. You should be an expert because you pledged an oath to it, and I pledged the same oath, by the way, because I'm a teacher. So I pledged the same oath to
Where do you teach?
Merced College.
Oh, okay.
So I pledged the same oath.
What do you teach, by the way?
Music.
Music?
Yeah.
Right on.
I also teach a Constitution class, but that's not part of Merced College. But and again, not trying to be a butthead, not trying to upset you, but the excuse you gave me that you don't, know the Constitution as well as you would like to, or whatever you said.
I do know the Constitution, and I'm sure you do as well. But I'm sure that there's somebody out there that probably knows it better than you, unless you're the most knowledgeable person in this country when it comes to the U.S. Constitution.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm not. I do know and I do understand the U.S. Constitution. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. I'm the most knowledgeable man in the United States of America when it comes to the United States Constitution. I don't know if you can make that same promise either.
Well, I don't think it's really necessary. Right now, I'm not convinced that you even have a minimal understanding of the Constitution, because you keep falling back on what you're calling this bottom line of states' laws, and that's illegitimate. That's not part of the Constitution. It's in no way whatsoever part of the Constitution. It is forbidden. It is prohibited by the Constitution for the states to legislate the laws they have. And you're telling me that you have an understanding of the Constitution, and that's a major point that we need to get over. That is a critical argument that we're coming to a cross at, and that you need to decide what side you're on, because right now you are serving two masters, and mom and dad are giving you two opposite directives, and it's impossible for you to follow both of them. And this is the argument that I hear from law enforcement all the time when they say that we're required to uphold California laws and federal laws, and that is not possible. I don't know how else to say it. It is impossible to uphold both of those laws because they're incompatible. And quite frankly, you guys need to make a choice. And if your choice is not for the federal U.S. Constitution, then you and I are enemies. And I'm not going to legitimize your authority, and I'm not going to concede to your authority.
Well, We could sit here. I'd maybe love to attend one of your classes. We could talk.
I sure hope you do.
We could talk about it for I'm sure we could discussions for hours and hours and hours about it. But I don't have that time right now, and I know you've got somewhere to be as well.
Yeah.
Correct?
Absolutely.
So right now what we're dealing with is
What we're coming back to is that paper that I'm told I need to sign that I'm still not satisfied and convinced that I need to sign it. Under any statute or any law right now, I am not convinced that it's a document I need to sign.
well, here's the thing, you don't have to sign it. You don't have to sign the ticket. You don't have to sign a citation. But if you don't sign the citation, and it's if it's because you don't agree with it,
It's not that I don't agree with it. It's that the law that I'm reciting is incompatible with me signing that document. It has nothing to do with what my preference is or what my agreements are.
Well, what I would rather you do, instead of explaining that to me, I would rather you explain it to a judge.
It might come to that, but
And I would think that, and it sounds to me, based on our conversation, it sounds to me that that's probably the route you would rather go.
no. The route that I'd rather go is right here. This is what matters. You are an officer of the law, and right now, when I leave in this car after we get done, I am going to either decide that there's a reason to listen to law enforcement, or I am going to further decide that law enforcement is full of crap, and that I have more reason to defy their authority in the future. I'm hoping, I hope and just pray that it's going to be the other way. But I have a real good feeling it's not going to be that way, and that I'm going to drive away tonight with the utter sadness and disappointment in my heart saying, you know what, I tried and they just don't get it, and I'm going to defy their laws in the future as well. And you have a chance right now to change that. You have a chance right now to say, you know what, I've been told by everyone that I've ever been trained by that I'm supposed to do this, but maybe, just maybe, they're wrong. And maybe I'm supposed to be an officer of the true law that I swore an oath to. And let's just say that I'm wrong and that I'm crazy, and and then you send some guy off that was probably supposed to end up in court. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe something inside you will say it's time to take a closer investigation and examination of the document that I swore an oath to. Because right now I'm not convinced that you've done that.
Well, I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state.
You're wrong about
and
that.
The laws of this state.
You never swore an oath to the Constitution of California.
Yeah, I did.
Nope. If you did swear an oath to the Constitution of California, then one of those you can't serve both masters, and you can swear an oath to the Constitution of California if provided it is compatible with the U.S. Constitution. But the U.S. Constitution, as in Article 6, Section 2, outlines that document as the supreme law of the land. It is not negotiable with any other law of the land. I mean, they can have you pledge oath to California until the day that you die. It doesn't mean diddly if you swore an oath to the supreme law first. At least if you took the same oath that I took, there was no mention of California in that oath, and we all took the same civil servant oath, as far as I know. So I'm unaware of a different oath. Maybe there's a law enforcement one that I don't know about, but even if there was, it doesn't matter, because the U.S. Constitution clearly outlines in the 6th article that it is the supreme law. No negotiation, no argument. Here's my question. What happens to you if you do determine that I'm correct and that you send me on my way?
What do you, if I determine that you're correct about
this whole ordeal is illegitimate, illegal, invalid, and that I should be free to go on my way unmolested, without interference, what would happen to you?
If I enforce a law improperly, if an officer enforces a law improperly, then there's corrective action that's taken. Just as with in your profession, if you do something improperly in your classroom that is not compatible with the school, they're going to take a corrective action.
Well, I think you're doing that right now.
What do you mean?
I think that you are enforcing a law improperly right now.
Okay. Well, me and you disagree with that on that.
Doesn't matter. I am supported by the U.S. Constitution. You are supported by for lack of a better term, magic land. You are supported by California that just decides out of the land of unicorns and magic to just write laws that are incompatible. That's what you're supported by right now, according to what you're telling me, that these laws that you have to follow.
Here's this is what I see, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
All right.
When it comes to laws that we all think are incompatible with or inconsistent with our own beliefs, the Constitution, or how we feel or whatnot, how do we go about isn't there a process, or isn't there a way that we can go about changing that or correcting that or voicing our opinion?
Of course. Here's a perfect example. In fact, probably the biggest example that people cite is slavery, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Declaration of Independence said the powers of government are derived from the consent of the governed, right? And that all men are created equal. But the U.S. Constitution said the opposite. The U.S. Constitution said some people are worth 3/5 of a person. That had to be satisfied because there was a cognitive dissonance. There was a disparity between what the Declaration of Independence said and what the Constitution said. Therefore, an amendment was drawn up to change the Constitution because there had to be compatibility between the founding documents. And they sure as hell weren't going backwards. They weren't going to say, well, one document said all men are created equal, another one says some people are worth 3/5, so we're just going to make everyone worth 3/5. That doesn't make sense, right? So they said we have to satisfy that discrepancy, and we have to make everyone equal. That's where the authority to change laws comes from, is to satisfy laws that are incompatible with the Constitution. You cannot create laws out of thin air that are incompatible with the Constitution just because things become inconvenient or because people just like to vote them in at the state capitol. This is not a democracy. This is a republic. People think this is a democracy. Democracy literally means rule of the majority. We do not live in a democracy. The Founding Fathers never wanted there to be a democracy. They loathed rule of the majority, because rule of the majority is exactly that. If you and I live on two pieces of property and I want to use a river that runs through your property, and I get all the rest of the state to say who votes on being able to take, Officer Officer Brownfield's property so that we can all use the river, and I can say, well, you get a vote too. But what the hell is that worth? Because if it's rule of the majority, it's worth nothing. So republic means one man and the law outnumbers all other votes in the state, period. And then so they can write laws all they want, but if one man stands up and is supported by the U.S. Constitution, everything is illegitimate otherwise.
Well, I would love to discuss it with you.
Me too.
Further. However, we can't. Both of us we've got stuff that we've got to do. We can't sit here on the side of the road all night. So right now, the issue that we're dealing with is a citation. Whether you agree that it's valid or not, that's something that we're not going to have a court hearing, a court proceeding right here. That's something that'll be done by a judge. So what I'd like to have you do, I understand that you disagree with the validity of the law. I don't know if you disagree with the reason for the stop or not. I'm not going to ask you to. I'm not going to ask you to incriminate yourself or say whether or not you do agree with the speed that the officer said that you were going. I understand that you disagree with the, most likely you disagree with the law and with this process of being issued a citation. However, it is California state law. We are in the state of California right now, and the process that we have for this here in this state, if you are issued a citation for an infraction, there is a process. You can go talk to a judge, an elected official, to explain the disagreements with him, and probably explain everything that you've explained to me to him. And there's two ways to do that. That process, we can either go do that process right now, but that's going to kind of take you away from what you are going to do tonight and your plans, and it's really going to take us away from the plans that we probably had.
Then I would suggest if you don't
the
want
other-
that inconvenience, why don't you just follow the law?
The other process is we can do it later. The whole process with the court, explaining everything that you've explained to me and your disagreements to a judge. That process can be done at a later date down the road. And the only way that process gets done is if you sign the citation promising that you'll do that. And that's what I'd like to have you do so that we could all get on our way.
But the third
tonight.
option is just to follow the law in the first place.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
You're wrong. You're not doing that.
Well,
You're breaking the law.
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Well, show me evidence.
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Where's your evidence? Because right now all I've heard is the reasons why I've told you why you're not following the law, and you just keep saying, well, and then you keep telling me the same thing, but you haven't told me what
Well,
you're supported by.
I don't have a copy of the U.S. Constitution in my vehicle.
I do.
I don't have a copy of the entire penal code and all that, and we're not going to go to the public library right now and bust all that out. And
I have it on my phone.
Okay. Right now. Right
See,
now, what we need to
it's
do
just another
is
sidestep. That's what I'm hearing from you right now. You want
get this process over with, so that you can either deal with it later in court and explain the case to a judge.
Yeah. Or I can deal with it now and have you do your job and discern which laws to enforce and which laws not to enforce.
If we're going to deal with it now, if we're going to deal with it now, the course of action that I'm going to take is we're going to go see a judge right now.
And that's despicable.
Okay.
That's absolutely despicable that you don't understand what you're breaking right now.
I'm sorry that you feel that way. But that's where we're at right now.
I mean, you do understand this is why people don't concede to your authority. This is why citizens recoil from law enforcement. It's because of this very thing that's happening right now. Again, I'm not trying to upset you. I'm just trying to be clear.
And you're not.
I'm trying to make sure you know that there is a growing fraternity of citizens in this country that are starting to get the nasty taste of tyranny in their mouths because we're getting this sense that we are allocating resources of ours to pay for things that we enjoy, like a police department, is things that we enjoy having around, only to start to get the feeling that we are subsidizing these parasites of our social structure who think they can unilaterally adjust the rights in the Constitution when things become dangerous or inconvenient. It's very infuriating, and that's why I want to make sure you guys are clear that this is the reason why citizens recoil from your authority, and we should. And I fully intend in the future to defy your authority again. And it's because of this reason. And I just wish and I hope and I pray that you guys figure this out before things get really bad. Like, really, really bad. I mean, you guys know this, right? You guys have heard about this on the news and all that stuff. That a lot of citizens are getting very, very angry.
Yeah, I see it every time I go into a Starbucks.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. It really is, Mr. Spencer. My name is David Ross, by the way.
Hello.
I don't know how you are about shaking hands.
That's
there I
fine.
am, okay?
Hi.
Yeah, we feel it. We definitely do. But the matter at hand is, all I'm going to ask you to do is to sign it.
And explain everything you explained to us to an elected judge.
And here's the reason. Because it doesn't sound to me like you're an aggressive guy, or even you sound like a presentable guy to me, a respectful guy. However, and that's the thing about it, I don't want to have any other route except for you signing and then being able to go on your way. You have a wife, right? I just see you bring it. Get home to your wife tonight rather than have to stay overnight to see a judge tomorrow to fight the ticket tomorrow. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
This is now. This is purely. It's not us being throwing a badge at you. Now it's pretty much just for your convenience, saying, "Hey, listen, let's just get it done now. Sign this now. That way you don't have to go through any unnecessary process." You know what I mean?
But you are aware that when you said that you're going to ask me to do this, inherent in what you just said is the option for me to say no, without interference.
Actually, I'm going to ask you to do this so we don't have to go the other route.
Then it's not asking.
Okay, well then I'm going to tell you, sign this citation Otherwise, we're going to have to take you into custody.
And that's illegal.
No, it is not.
It is. We just had about a half-hour discussion
Okay,
on how
well,
that's illegal.
no problem. I understand what you're saying. Okay. However, I'm gonna have you sign this. If you don't sign it, then I'm gonna have Officer Fuentes get you out, and then we're gonna have to place you under arrest.
And I'm just curious how you would feel about arresting me. Like, would you really feel that
No.
you have a duty to do that?
Absolutely not. I don't.
I mean-
nobody here wants to take you.
Nobody.
And
Nobody
here's
does.
the deal. The only reason why not signing this would result in going and sitting in jail. The only reason why is because the court's obviously closed right now. If the court was open, if it was open 24 hours a day, we could follow you right over there. We could walk into the court. We could see a judge right this minute. However, the court's not open, so we would have to wait.
Because all we're asking you to do is say, hey, I promise to fight this in court. I promise to plead not guilty. That's all we're asking you to do when we have you sign this, is to say, yeah, I promise to plead not guilty. That's all we're having you do.
I know what you want me to do.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it's despicable. You guys are supposed to know that I am not someone who should be arrested because I haven't done anything wrong.
Okay. Well, according to the officer, the thing you did wrong, and the reason why on the traffic stop, is you exceeded the maximum speed law.
Right.
Okay. So that's initially what you did wrong. Now, when you don't sign the promise to appear in front of a judge, we got to take you in front of a judge.
Well, we just had a discussion.
But now it's me and you, okay?
Right, but I'm just trying to save
Okay,
you the
go ahead.
time and not go over it for another 45 minutes on how the speed limit is illegitimate.
Okay. Well, if you don't sign, then we're gonna have to take a different route. Are you refusing to sign this?
I haven't
just wanna get it
decided
clear.
yet.
You haven't decided. Okay, I'm not gonna give you much longer now. You know what I mean?
Well, so now I have a time limit.
Well, you can either sign it or not. Okay. Are you gonna sign? I mean, I'm not gonna wait here till 6 o'clock in the morning. Is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Well, under what obligation am I to sign it under a certain period of time?
Stand by.
Where were you headed in Fresno? Are you Are you heading home, or
No, I live here in Merced.
are you going to be late
Yeah,
somewhere?
yeah,
I would think that it'd probably be in your best interest to set a court date, sometime that's convenient for you, so that you could talk to a judge and relay everything that you just told me to a judge.
Well, freedom is pretty irritating, and it's pretty inconvenient, and that's what I plan to exercise right now, is that I should be free. I should be a free citizen of California in every sense of the word, one of which is by me traveling freely through my country. And right now I'm being interfered with, and I'm being impeded by the people who are supposed to be protecting me and the people who are supposed to be enforcing the law, and it's not happening. And I will, unfortunately, after tonight, have more reason to defy your authority.
I'm truly sorry that you feel that way.
Yeah, me too.
What I'd really like is for you to explain everything that you just told me to a judge here in the county.
Yeah,
in this
and
county.
that's what's going to have to happen, but that's the reason why I'm going to be more reticent to listen to officers in the future, is because that process should be completely out of the picture.
Okay.
It should never have to go that far. It should only go to far. I should only be showing up in court if I am breaking the law, which I am not. I'm talking about the real law, the supreme law, the one that we both agreed to follow. The one that we both agreed to enforce, the one that we both agreed.
Once again, like I said, I would love for you to explain that to a judge rather than myself.
Why?
I would love for you to explain that to the judge. I know you have a lot of concerns and opinions about the legitimacy of laws here in this state, and I can't think of a better person for you to bring up those concerns with than a judge.
And it's obviously going to have to come to that, but
So
I don't see why.
So like I said, like my partner Officer Ross said,
I just don't understand.
Let me get you to sign the citation, and then that process can happen. It's really not.
What is the purpose of your branch? Because right now all I'm hearing is that there's a legislative purpose, which people who legislate laws, and then now I have to deal with the judicial purpose. The executive purpose, which is you, is supposed to say, wait a minute, he's not supposed to go that far. He's not supposed to be showing up in court. I'm stopping this right here where it's supposed to be.
My job is to provide safety, service, and security to the citizens of California.
You are wrong about that.
That's my job.
Your job is not to protect me. My job is to protect me. Your job extends to the limits of upholding and reporting the law, and that is it. That's all you do. They may put some cute decals on the side of your car that says what you just recited to me. It is not supported by the U.S. Constitution.
Okay. Well, we can discuss that over coffee some other time, but I'm getting cold out here. You've got somewhere to be, so let's do it another time when it's more convenient for both of us.
I say no. I say I choose freedom. I choose to be inconvenient.
Here's where we're at. This is where we're at. Okay, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I'm gonna have my partner bring his citation up here. I'm gonna ask you politely if you could sign the citation.
Be careful if you say ask, because that renders me the choice to say no.
It does. You have the decision to say no.
No, it's not a decision if I go to jail.
No, listen, I'm gonna ask you to sign the citation and give your promise to see a judge another day. If you don't want to give your promise to see a judge at your convenience at another day, we're going to go see a judge right now, which probably means that we're going to be waiting till tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock when the court adjourns or commences. So, like I said, I'm going to bring the citation book up here. I'm going to give you the option to sign it if you want to go see the judge at your own convenience. If not, the only other option we're going to have is to go see the judge right now, which unfortunately that means that we're going to be waiting till 8 o'clock in the morning. And that means that I'm not going to be home when I want to be, and you're not going to be where you want to be when you want to be, because you're going to be sitting over at the sheriff's department, which is attached to the courthouse, waiting for court to open in the morning.
And you are
Can
aware...
we do that, please?
Yes, but you are aware that if I chose to delay this even further, it would be because of you guys. It wouldn't be because of me. It would be because of your guys' inability to enforce the law that you swore an oath to. And quite frankly, I feel that you all failed tonight.
Okay.
And I hope that means something.
I'm sorry that you feel that way.
Well,
but the way that I feel and the way that all these other officers here, my partner included, feels is that we are doing our job.
But support that. Support that with facts. That doesn't mean anything if you are in contrast with the law you swore an oath to.
You're right now you're giving me a vague statement. Support it with facts. I don't even know what facts you're asking me to. What facts are you asking me to support?
Tell me how you are enforcing the law.
Could you please, if you would, sign your name on the citation, giving your promise to